I started because I want to save myself initially. I was so tough, man. The thoughts were heavy. I keep thinking of her. I said, I need to do something about it. So 3 days later, I started Radical Kindness. Just went on Canva. And this is the lesson for you. I never thought that it would grow this fast. I just went on Canva. I put a stupid logo there. Fire and a heart because of passion. It represented me at that time. I was so... My heart was on fire. I was frustrated. But at the same time, I wanted to love. I had a voice in me that said, hey Kevin. Voice from above me said, Kevin, listen. True love is not to love when you're at that high. It's easy to love when it's high and all. Everyone's happy, lovey-dovey. True love is when you're broken, you're bitter. And instead of letting that your heart become cynical, you go there and love 10 times more. You give 10 times more. That was the foundation of our art. And I exemplified it. I give myself credit. Through God, I exemplified it to the greatest degree. I said I'm going to surprise even myself with my giving. So I just gave and gave and gave and gave. I gave my heart, I gave my time. I did one video a day for a year. And it grew. Again, growth is relative, but I would say that for a guy on TikTok, on social media, at my age, you don't find many people growing that fast.
Guys, welcome to the episode of our next episode of Monetize podcast. We aim to empower, enrich, evolve your lives. Today we've got an amazing guest. His name is Kevin Wee, who wrote this book called Insanity to Radical Kindness. Kevin is a dear friend of mine. On socials he has over 100,000 followers. Absolutely amazing, crazy story from drinking his own pee to freaking making impacting lives around Singapore, around the world. It's been absolutely amazing to watch your journey, bro.
Thanks.
Right?
I like this setup. I like the M's, many M's here, as well as M's, E's, empower, enrich, evolve. Hopefully we do that today. Absolutely. I like the cadence in which you speak. I'll mirror it for you.
Hey,
I presume that your audience speak faster and process faster, so I'll speak at this cadence.
Dude, I love this one tagline about I wanna love and be loved.
Love in return.
Love and give love in return. Right?
Yeah, love and be loved in return. That's one of my mottos. This is why I do what I do. If people ask me why I do what I do, essentially that's it. It's as simple as that. It's love and resilience, to be honest. Like you look at my tattoos. The right side is love. It is a rose. So rose is one of my favorite songs by Westlife. The song starts with, love is like a razor. It leaves the soul to bleed. Right? To dream is to risk failure. To love is to risk being hurt. But the song encourages you, it says you have to do it anyway.
I see.
Right? It's the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live.
Wow.
It's the heart afraid of breaking that never takes a chance.
Wow.
It's a dream afraid of dying that never learns to dance.
Wow.
Yeah, I just love, I might butcher it a little bit, but look at the lyrics are so meaningful. At the end of the song is the crux, right? Because all good stories start with a hook and then brings you on a journey, a conflict, and then they solve it, right? So the end is essentially when the night has been so lonely and the road has been too long, and you feel like love is only for the lucky and the strong. Just remember, in the winter, far beneath the bitter snow, lies a seed that with the sun's love, in the spring becomes a rose.
Wow.
I love it. It's just saying that it's a metaphor, right?
Wow.
That love will be worth it in the end.
Wow.
I love it. So that's why I put a heartbeat here, because it represents who I am.
Wow.
The blood here. So when I shake somebody's hand, it's the extension of my love. So I put it here.
Wow.
And then on the right and the left side is a tattoo of a phoenix. With my mom and my dad, Fu and Mu, Chinese characters, represent my wings. Because someone said you should get a tattoo of phoenix from the number of times you rose from the ashes. So this represents resilience.
Wow.
So love and resilience are two core values upon which I built all my businesses.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Dude, your businesses. So what are the businesses you run?
Wow, a bunch. I think I'm a bit, frankly, the gear shifts are a little bit tough for me now. I'm trying to narrow it down, trying to focus. It's like Simon Boyle, he starts a lot of things, whether it's good or bad, it really depends on the person's, Alex Hormozy would hate it. He would argue that very passionately that every time he splits attention because he doesn't want to leave money on the table, he ends up losing more. Because his focus is not compounded. So you need to take this with a pinch of salt, as well as not super salt. You need to take this and apply it to your context. For me, I'm very itchy. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it. So I start new brands and I struggle to split my attention. So now I'm going to pull it back. But I'll just run through with you, essentially. So I started direct sales. Amway. So Amway is the largest direct sales company in the world. I started 18 years old because I joined OMP, my dog shit, they can talk about it. Mania. Came out of Mania, my friend called me. She said, Kevin, I have a friend that started online distribution business. We're looking for some sharp and ambitious people. I'm like, oh, that's me. You know, I was in Mania. Later on, I found out she said it to everybody. But then I went in, I signed up immediately. I was like, wow, I love this. She said in 5 years, you can make $200,000. She gave me the compensation plan. 5 years, make $200,000 a year. I was like, wow, wait, take 5 years. 1 year can, yeah. That time I was in Mania, so I just signed. I forced her to make me sign the papers. That's how I started in direct sales. I could have been scammed thousands of dollars for all I know, but I was fortunate that I came across them. I was fortunate that they were people of integrity. Fortunate they're the most sincere, loving people that I've met, even more than in church. I would say these people were just spiritually sound. They were just solid people, really solid people. So I was so fortunate I spent 10 years there, ended up being brainwashed, quote unquote. So I spent 10 years
10 years, ah?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy. 18 and 28.
Wow.
That's why I'm not as quote unquote, I feel like, not quote unquote rich as I am now, because my potential is limited there, I feel.
I see.
Because it's not my own product, right? And it's hard to make 5 figures, extremely hard to make 5 figures in direct sales. Doesn't matter what everyone tells you, statistically it's very hard to make 5 figures in direct sales. Okay. I'll give you a
What was your peak in the 10 years?
currently now it's still growing. Because I left it really 2 years ago when I started Radical Kindness.
Yep.
Which we'll get there eventually. But when I left it, and now the revenue going through my business is probably 7 figures a year, hundreds of people. Most of them don't even know that I'm the upline anymore.
Wow.
You know, so it's passive income for me. But you know, that margin compared to the revenue I'm bringing in is very, very fine. Very fine. So it's not even 5 figures.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to let you know, direct sales, I wouldn't throw stones at it because it gave me a foundation. It gave me the courage. It gave me the obnoxiously thick skin to deal with hate now. You know, so a lot of foundation was because of that. But in terms of building wealth relatively faster, no, I don't think a direct sales company will allow you to do that. I'm just being very upfront. I make so much more on an absolute number at least from creating my own products. Yeah, and then, I started a trading company halfway through that at 25 years old. It was actually a FYP. It was a FYP. It's called Rebound with Resilience, 5-year project. I turned into a business. My friends went to do their own thing, became a sole proprietorship. So it's a low 6-figure company. Never had the mind share or the skill set or the attention to expand it, right? Because I was still very involved with Amway. So low 6 figures, I built it. And then 28 years old, I had a crash. You know, a relapse that I faced because the market crashed. I tried to multiply my income and become a millionaire and ended up losing everything, 200,000+ at that time. It was hard work for 10 years, you know. So I lost everything. And then spent a year in depression, very, very deep depression, almost took my life then. And 2023, I came out of it. This was in August. Somehow I managed to pull myself out with my family support, with the grace of God. I came out of it, and then I met a girl. My heart was kind of like, I'm sorry if I'm hearing this for the umpteenth time, people that hear my stuff, because I've been on so many podcasts, right? So I try to move it to a place where it's stuff that I have not shared before, which is what you can talk to me about. Now we just set a foundation of people that haven't heard about me. So essentially, in August, I met this girl. In a cliche way, kind of fell in love with her because in the 10 years that I've been in business, I've only been romantically involved with 2 people. Yeah, one year when I was 18, that was my first girlfriend. And somewhere in the middle, I had this situationship. So I've never been very close to someone romantically. So when this girl came in my life and she filled a void, I was so lonely for a year. For a year, I had nothing, right? So just like a moth to a flame, I went all in. And then eventually she said that we were not compatible and she wants me to stop pursuing her. And one of the reasons she gave was that I was too spontaneous, too impulsive. Right? I don't think she used the word radical, to be fair to her. But that is the impression that I got, that I was very radical. So I said, you know, screw it. You know, I'm going to put it in the name. That's how Radical Kindness started.
I see.
Yeah, so I started because I want to save myself initially. I was so tough, man. The thoughts were heavy. I keep thinking of her. I said, I need to do something about it. So 3 days later, I started Radical Kindness. Just went on Canva. And this is the lesson for you. I never thought that it would grow this fast. I just went on Canva. I put a stupid logo there, fire and a heart, because it's like passion. It represented me at that time. I was so, my heart was on fire. I was frustrated, but at the same time, I wanted to love. I had a voice in me that said, hey, Kevin. Voice from above me said, Kevin, listen. True love is not to love when you're at that high. it's easy to love when it's high and all,
Yeah.
you know, everyone's happy,
Yeah.
lovey-dovey. True love is when you're broken,
Mm.
you're bitter, you know, and instead of letting that your heart become cynical,
Mm.
you go there and love 10 times more. You give 10 times more. That was the foundation of how RK was built.
Wow.
And I exemplified it. I
That's
give
amazing.
myself credit. Through God, I exemplified it to the greatest degree. I said, I'm going to surprise even myself in my giving.
Wow.
So I just gave and gave and gave and gave. I gave my heart. I gave my time. I did one video a day for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and it grew. Again, growth is relative, but I would say that for a guy on TikTok, on social media, at my age, you don't find many people growing that fast.
Amazing, bro. Amazing.
Yeah.
No, it's insane. And through radical kindness, dude, I was very, very impressed, man. You've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
Right? Like, you know,
over 100, over 100.
yeah, like over $100,000.
Yeah.
You know, I saw, like, you know, share with us a story in particular which is really, really resonate, like, you know, really impacted you a lot.
Yeah, there's so many. In fact, like I would say, people ask me what's my favorite video and everything. I would say, and this is not cliche, I would say that every video is sacred to me. It's a soft moment encapsulated in hard code. That's why I love content, because I can look back at it. My kids can look back at it, you know, and it's just a moment in time of evolution that you're at, you know, and it's so rewarding to look back at some of these things that videos that I've done. But I guess if you look at certain moments, you would be raising money for cancer, because it's like the impact is direct, and you see people's life potentially saved because of it. There's an uncle that I met during one of my one-room flat visits. I went back to him to visit him, and then he said, Kevin, 我想你, which means that I miss you in Chinese. 好久没来了, which means that you haven't come in a long time. Because I was sick, right, and couldn't come. So I came, then he said, he started off happy, and then immediately he broke down in tears. He said, my wife has cancer. And there was a weight in the room. There was a weight there, heaviness that was palpable, you know, and you know, he shared his story. I so happened to be filming. It was very raw. It was very striking, because the wife had colon cancer and she had something attached to her to collect a feces. So I think that was January of 2024. I think that was January of 2004. And I put it out there. We raised $50,000 within a week for them, and now they're doing a lot better. Doing a lot better. Got them. Prison reached out to sponsor them. Some beds sponsored them.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is just one of a few. Another one was also a lady that, a follower of mine, that had his husband, her husband, sorry, was diagnosed with nose cancer, and it broke him completely. The chemotherapy was painful. You know, I've heard stories of, I hope that I will never experience it, but I've heard secondhand stories of people saying it's like 1,000 needles poking your body. And when they wake up, they're so weak and they feel like ending things because it's so painful. Yeah, so I remember going there. I remember going to the house, interviewing them. I said, no, I'm going to try and raise money for you. I remember the spirit was the same, as the countenance was the same as the uncle when I first met him. Very low, very painful. And it was hard for me to stay neutral and finish the interview, to be honest, because he was coughing halfway. He couldn't speak properly. You can tell that he's broken. So I did the video, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about this. I did a video, and within one day, the 30K goal was met. One day, because the Muslim community especially rallied around them, and the messages they sent to him, right, the support they received, not just financially but emotionally, was so overwhelming for him. That in less than 2 weeks I went back there, his countenance changed completely. It's insane to me, you know. And faith is powerful, right? Faith is, yeah, I can say it's a placebo, but physiological affects, psychology affects physiology, you know. And if you have that faith, Bible says faith as small as a mustard seed. You move mountain, you say nothing's impossible for you. So, my God, when I went there, his countenance was completely shifted. And I went there after a year, now he's in remission already. The money that they used to support the family, because she 3-4 kids. So they used the money to just support the expenses and everything, to release that burden a little bit. But yeah, it was just the outpouring of support that was powerful. And I think talking about this, I'm so busy now, I'm talking about this makes me feel like I want to go back to that as a content pillar for Radical Kindness. Because RK, it's hard to monetize. I realized RK became a brand that allowed me to build other brands. But as monetize in itself is difficult. Because people don't see me as a business, they see me as a charity. So I said, okay, never mind, I'm going to pivot it. Maybe I'll reach out to people who have stories like that, tell their stories, raise funds, maybe get a certain percentage as admin fee or whatever, pay my producers and everything, you know. I think 1, maybe 2%, people are still okay.
Sure.
I haven't tested in Singapore's market. Overseas, they do it a lot. Singapore's market, surely the people that complain, surely people say that Kevin is raising money just so he can get some for himself. But I mean, people always be there. Yeah. So that's RK. Sorry, it's an extremely long explanation of what I do. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna cut it short. Basically, I got Radical Homes. Halfway, a 19-year-old reached out to me. He wanted to invest in property with me. I said, where are you getting money from? He says he runs a furniture business on Carousel. I'm like, is it a scam? So I went to meet him up. It's not a scam. Very resourceful guy. Over 200 suppliers across the world. Crazy resourceful as a 17-year-old. And in 2 years, he's made close to 7 figures revenue. You know, and I said, why not we do things together? That's how Radical Homes started.
I see.
Furniture, everything, this oak wood table, solid wood. I'm learning how to identify woods, you know, different things. But we have everything. Everything, any reference that you send me, we can do it. And 10% of our profits will go to home makeovers. Will go to furnishing charities, telling stories through furniture.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's Radical Homes. And then have a consultancy that also came in through a follower that wanted to sell for me, and I realized he's doing very well as a broker, brokering deals between SMEs and banks. So I decided, okay, I use my expertise in MLM or direct sales, bring in people, train them, systemize things, and then they get a commission from closing, commission from setting appointments. My friend closes, I get money as well. So there's a consultancy. And then I also have Radical Riches, which is how I met you. So Radical Riches, I love it, man. I see a monetization path so clear. And then from Radical Riches, I also do a content creation masterclass where I'm trying to systemize it as a mainstay of one of my sources of income every month.
I see. Amazing, bro. Dude, so entrepreneurial, man.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But now, I'm trying to focus and build them up first before I do anything else. Someone else wanted to start a wellness center, Radical Wellness. It's hiring nurses to do counseling for a low cost. I see the market gap because it's very expensive to get counseling outside. But I just do not have the mindshare anymore. I really do not. I said, if the best I can do is be ambassador for you and take a super low equity, that's the best I can do.
I see.
I cannot take that anymore.
Wow, incredible.
But the thing is that I want to do that because it's so like, it's in line with what I do, right? So I want to do that, but I cannot.
Yes, but again, you know, I just want to share something, bro. And I hope this hits hard with some people. But again, the impact of what you do, right? The lives that are being changed, right? The people, literally saving lives, bro. Right? Through your story, through, you know, this uncle that you actually helped and everything. Bro, you literally are a beacon of hope to so many of these guys. And again, you know, all of it was through the power of socials, through the power of, you know, you being out there to just shoot a video and just do it, you know, despite your flaws and all, right? You went through such deep, dark stuff that is absolutely insane. But if you use that not to destroy yourself, but to totally come out and, you know, be a beacon of hope for others as well, man. So, you know, I see that and I just feel so, you know, when I saw that, I was like, wow, dude, I want to meet this young guy, right? Like I was very, very, so again, if you remember my message to you, you know, I basically said this one thing, right? Which was, bro, whatever you do, I want to just support. Right? I really, truly, as an entrepreneur, I want to see others win. Right? One of my biggest things is I love seeing my guys win, right? Like my friends win. I love it.
It's more rewarding than your own.
Absolutely. and you know, when in everything, you know, Kevin, I'm attending his program really soon as well. And again, very simply, is because I know his heart is in the right place. And I want to see you win, bro. I want to see you win massively. Why? Because when you win, bro, there's going to be so many others who will win. When you win, there'll be so much more money that's given away. When you win, bro, lives are gonna be changed, brother.
I'm so excited, right? I'm keeping grounded, but I'm excited, and I appreciate those words of kindness to me. You know, I would say also that, you know, you have to focus on the seeds, because when I started out, and there's a lot of quote unquote hate of people that only see the headlines and don't know who I'm about. And they make judgments about who I am, and I think that's social media. You cannot please everybody. I realized you cannot make everyone understand who you are. In fact, I don't even understand fully who I am. So how do you expect someone to fully understand who you are? You can't. And I think that expectation will set you up for disappointment. Even your closest partner may not fully empathize with you all the time.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah.
Right, we're gonna go a little bit deep.
Sure.
About, you know, you talked about mania, right?
Yeah.
Talk about getting into manic situations, for example.
Yeah.
What caused you to spiral into that hole?
It's a mix of psychology and physiology. I know mental health a lot intimately than a lot of people, so I will not give you extremes. I think my advantage I could build a personal brand around this. To be honest, there's so many things I could do, quote unquote. But my value is in balance. I know how to take insights, seemingly. I wrote about it in the book, by the way. Learn how one critical aspect of critical thinking, right, is to learn intellectual skills. Learn how to take seemingly opposing arguments, marry, and not feel a cognitive dissonance. Very few people can do that, by the way. Very few, because they just stick to one thing. You think, this must be, this must be. I can look at different arguments and empathize with both and come together and present a very logical, balanced view to you, right? So, when it comes to mental health, I won't say depression is not real. Depression, depression is a label. At the same time, I will not tell you that depression is permanent. That I'll just use it as a crutch, an emotional crutch all the time. It's a balance, right? I've experienced a loss of control, a complete loss of control. This is coming from somebody that is resilient, someone that lives and eats and breathes resilience. You wake me up in the middle of the night, right, I'll deliver you research, codified research into resiliency. Carol Dweck, Angela Duckworth, Martin Seligman, I can tell you off my head. But when depression hit again, this went out the window. I had zero control. Because physiologically, right, the chemistry was messed up. Seriously. And it's devastating. It's devastating, which is why depression is quote unquote real. But I can empathize with people who feel that it's not real. Because how can they empathize? How? It's like telling me to empathize with a pregnant woman, what? I cannot fully empathize with a pregnant woman nor the experience of being a woman. So how can you ask someone to empathize the experience of depression when they cannot understand how is it like to want to kill yourself? You cannot. Imagine this is life, right? So beautiful. Somebody goes up and ends it there. You know how scary that is? You know how scary? I'm getting goosebumps talking about this again because I documented this in my book. For the year that I was suicidal, right, it was so painful. I didn't want to go. I was thinking of heaven, I was thinking of God. But like just the act of not existing alone scared me. And yet the pain of existing was more than that. That's why at that point, getting more than that. That's why I still wrote my suicidal notes. That's why I still bought the envelopes to send them out. But I'm telling you that for someone to get into that state, depression must be real. But at the same time, I'm tangent on quite a bit. That's how I went to Mania, essentially, because my physiology was so imbalanced. I switched to the other side, right? And it's not uncommon for bipolar stuff. I don't know the exact chemistry in the brain, but it tends to swing quite a bit. Because when you're on antidepressants, when you mess up the physiology in your head, things just happen. Weird shit happens. Weird shit happening to me, hallucinations, whatever. So it happened, and I went to Mania. And I'll tell you what Mania felt like. It's unlike anything that I've ever felt before, man. It's just like you're on drugs. Not that I've taken drugs before, but I'm very sure that it felt like I was on drugs. If I take drugs, it will feel like that. Because I was so high. I was just invigorated with emotion. Now you're saying you think I'm passionate. No. Back then I was invigorated. I was just waking up feeling so... ideas were coming in, pouring in, to the point where I actually did the 4-hour video, right? I burned my level surgery, my own pee, my dog shit. Looking back at that video, I still have it saved somewhere, right? I cannot recognize myself. I genuinely cannot recognize myself. And of course, at that time,
Can you repeat again? What do you do?
I drank my own pee, ate my dog shit. I didn't eat it, I chewed it. Even in that insanity, there was some sanity, I baked it in the oven before chewing it. I danced in my mom's nightgown. I sang and danced, half naked. Went to cook a frog in Bedok Reservoir. All kind of stuff. 4 hours. I ranted about the education system. I smashed my trophies. I painted my wall red. Grades will not define me. Yeah, that's what I did. That was Mania for you. And not just that. Outside that, I drove underage, crashed my dad's car, almost went to jail.
Wow.
That was Mania. It was crazy. Mania is, in fact, arguably, right, scarier than depression. Because it's irreversible. You do things that are irreversible.
Then how do you get out of that, man?
I don't know. It was just a matter of like my friend, she called me. And then I met these mentors that brought me into balance. After about a couple of months, I privated the whole channel. Then I stopped social media for 10 years until RK. Oh no. So before that I started a podcast. Rebounding Resilience, my training company. I started a podcast. I built a YouTube channel. But I never popped off. never popped off. I was never mainstream until
see.
Radical Kindness.
I see. Crazy.
Now hearing this, I get goosebumps because
Wow.
I never imagined. Honestly, people now it's very normal for me. Every video I post might get. I mean, every video I post now gets probably 100k views and more combined, right, across platforms. If I do it well, but these numbers are actually hard to do, and I take it for granted sometimes. I take it for granted that every time I go out on the streets, a few people recognize me, right? I know, I sense it. When I walk past a group and I know that at a certain age, I know that at least one of them will recognize me, and I'm always right.
Yeah.
So I take it for granted now.
Yeah.
There are people struggling to try to build a personal brand, struggling to get views, and I'm trying to help people with that now.
Yeah.
But I take it for granted. It's almost like hedonistic adaptation. Once you get there, it's like, oh, what's the next step?
Yeah, what's the
How do I
next
get to Mr. Beast level?
Exactly. Is that your next step? Is that what
It
you
is.
do? Yeah.
Not Mr. Beast level. Mr. Beast impossible to achieve, right? But objectively, it really is lah. Okay, I'm just telling you, not because I don't want to dream, just because the sacrifice I have to make to get there is not something I want to do, right? But definitely in Singapore, I have some plans that I want to keep it private because I want to shock the world when I do it.
Wow.
But it will shock Singapore, and every newspaper will cover it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm working towards that.
Last time.
No. It's not that crazy, but I'm working towards that.
Okay.
And I need financial backing, so
Yeah.
that's why I'm working hard in my businesses now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, I look forward to seeing that, bro. I look forward to seeing that. Dude, how do you build creativity?
First of all, you need to understand that what is creativity essentially, right? I'll share a story. Imagine you're in a hospital. You're in a hospital, lying in bed. Imagine you're a nurse. Okay, you see I'll paint a scene for you. You're going to the hospital. This guy lying on a bed. He's old. He's frail. And every day he's looking at this drawings on a piece of paper, and you're thinking as a nurse a bit weird. Why is he keep looking at drawings? And then after a while, his condition gets worse. He's bedridden. He can't get up anymore. He says, "Can you please put this paste it on the ceiling? I want to see it." So the guy's, you find it a bit weird, but you have no choice, right? You got to accede to his request. So this guy is looking at everything. Every day he was looking at it. Till his dying breath, when he passed away, he was still looking at it. Make a guess who that person is.
I don't know.
You know?
God.
It's Walt Disney.
Walt Disney.
And what he was looking at was Disneyland.
Wow.
Now, this story might be altered a little bit, okay, but the essence of it was there. Till his dying breath, he was thinking about Disneyland. And Disneyland was only built after his death.
I see. It was only built after.
Yeah. So it's fascinating because after his death, a reporter came to his wife and said, "Hey, don't you feel it's a bit of a pity that he spent his whole life, right, trying to build this, and only after he died then he built?" You know what the wife said to the reporter? Don't need worry about him because he saw in his head thousands of times before it came into reality.
Wow.
I tell you, this story gives me goosebumps.
Wow.
Everything you see is created twice. This table, this microphone, somebody envisioned it in their head before it came into reality.
Yeah.
So when people say don't dream, come back to reality, it's a bit ironic because the reality around you is created by your dreams. So that is first the foundation of creativity. You gotta dream.
Dude, what an answer, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, you're crazy, man. What an answer, but that's incredible.
Yeah, so you gotta dream, and I think when people are afraid to dream, they're afraid to fail, they're afraid to get judged, you cannot be creative. There's a guy that, bless him, he passed away recently also, Sir Ken Robinson. You can watch his TED Talks, How Schools Kill Creativity. One of the most watched TED Talks. He said this, creativity doesn't mean being wrong. But if you're not prepared to be wrong, you can't be creative. That is the underlying essence behind creativity. Everything else will just come.
Amazing, bro. Dude, I love it. But dude, there's so much wisdom in the way you think, brother. There's so much wisdom. There's so much, you started it with a beautiful poem. And now the way you think about creativity. Again, none of this is planned, but you just...
Yeah, I appreciate it. I
Can
think
you
maybe
rap,
I
bro?
have a gift. Yeah, I wrote a book, so I wrote it myself. I'm not a ghostwriter, by the way.
You wrote a book.
And inside the book are many poems, many stories.
Can
Yeah.
people buy this?
Yeah, they can.
Where can they buy this?
Just DM me directly lah. It's easier. Then I can save the Shopify fees. But it's on
Amazing,
Shopify.
amazing.
My website is kevinwee.org. The courses are there. The book is there. My services are there.
Guys,
Kevin
again,
V.
for real, honestly speaking, right? Like, you got to research on this guy. He's gonna do amazing things, right? Man,
Thank
I'm
you,
telling you, man.
I'm trying to stay grounded also because I hell with that soon. I know how fragile mental health is, but I'm doing my best. I mean, the only thing I've sacrificed is my love life, I would say.
Amazing. I am very, very proud of you, man. Dude, can I just ask, again, unfortunately, you got to wrap up, right?
Yeah.
I really want to dig so much deeper, but, we're kind of running out of time.
Yes.
So,
Maybe part 2, no time.
we're going to do a part 2
Yeah.
for sure, man. For sure, we're going to do a part 2. But, I'm attending a workshop really soon, right? I'm attending a workshop. I can't wait to give a post review of how the workshop is.
You'll love
Right.
it. You'll love
It's happening.
If you think this is good, you'll love it.
Yeah, it's
My trainings are, I just put my soul into it.
yeah, I'm very sure, man. I'm very sure. I don't doubt 1 second, bro.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to actually attend. But can you share with the guys what the training is about and who will benefit from the training?
Yeah, so it's called Radical Age, right? I call it age because it's people think of something else because of social media nowadays. But no, it's basically giving people an age, right? Giving people an advantage. You have to stand out. You have to be willing to stand out, in content. If not, you will not get views, right? You can stand out from your personality. You can stand out from the integrity of your knowledge. You can stand out from, doing different things, right? But you have to stand out. So I'm going to teach you the frameworks, the principles, the distilled, codified in order for you to create content that sells, right? Not just checking off a box. The biggest reason why content doesn't work is because people just check off a box. They're not intentional about creation. Right? Earlier I talked to you about vision. I talked to you about dreams, which I cover in the course as well, right? Helping you to clarify your why, own your own voice. But I also cover the how. Right? And the how is very simple. There are only 3 aspects to media production: pre-production, production, and post-production. So I cover exactly pre-production, right? What are the content formats you can potentially follow? What's the content funnel? Right? So awareness, consideration, conversion. What percentage do you have each of these? And then within that, what are your content formats? Vlogs, talking head, public interactions, trend jacking, skits, storytelling, different formats. Maybe choose 1 or 2 or maximum 3 to work with. Right, I do a lot of public content, right? Public interactions. I do a bit of talking head as well because it does well. So find a format that works, and then execute it. And the post edits also, people don't. There are a lot of things that people are not aware of. Like I'll give a simple example is respecting people's attention. People don't know how to create hooks. They're very slow with the hooks, especially people who just come to content. They're like, oh, hi, my name is Kevin. Today, people scroll already. Nobody cares about, People scroll already. You got to start with a promise, start with a hook, right? Either a pain, pleasure hook. So I'm rambling again. I'm trying to give value and we'll close up.
Let's go.
So every single hook, I teach from first principles, by the way. That's my advantage. I'm a very good educator. I won't engage in false modesty. I can improve, yes, but I'm a lot better than a lot of trainers because I teach on first principles. I don't just tell you what to do. I tell you the thinking behind it. Every single hook is based on pain or pleasure. Because as human beings, we're motivated by 2 things: the desire for gain or the avoidance of pain.
Yep.
Every single hook you see is okay. And maybe one last one. What's the third one? Fulfilling a spiritual need.
I see.
So why does my hook? This homeless elderly man has never gone on a flight before. So I decided to fly him for a 2-day tour in Singapore. That's my hook. Why does that work? Because it's novel, right? Because it's no clear pain or pleasure for you, but you feel a potential spiritual need, which is need for belonging, a need for connection, a need. I live vicariously through. People want to live vicariously through me, right? Because it's service, it's kindness, right? So all these hooks, like a curiosity hook, a novel hook, a storytell hook, authority hook. I made my clients 10K. I made 10 of my clients 10K in 10 days. Here's how I did it. Right? Straight to it. You respect people's attention. A payoff hook is what I do. It's very good as well. Calling people Cheryl until I find a Cheryl and giving her $1,000. That's my hook. And then that series did over 1 million views.
Wow.
Over 6 videos. Yeah, people loved it. For some reason, they want to find out who's that Cheryl. In the end, I took 6 videos. I could not find a Cheryl. It's crazy, man. It's damn funny. It's damn funny. In fact, I'm going to restart that series. Calling people Karen until I find a Karen. Yeah, but see, content is essentially you study it, hook, and then body, how you edit it, make sure there's no dead space, right? I'm very hard on my editors, by the way. 0.1 second, 0.2 second, you also cut. Because it adds up. It adds up. Look at Colchester, look at these people. They have no pauses in their edits. Yeah, so all these things I'll teach, technicalities.
Interesting, man. Dude, it's been a very, very enlightening stuff. Enlightening interview. I cannot wait to do part 2. we're gonna dig deeper,
Yeah.
right? And I can't wait to show you some of my results from what I learned right,
Thank
after the
you.
workshop as well.
I
man.
enjoy podcasting a lot, honestly.
Yeah,
I just had to give it up, quote unquote, because I don't have time to produce.
yeah.
So actually, Radical Reaches was a podcast before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Radical Perspectives. Then I rebranded it.
I see. Oh, interesting, man. Crazy. Anyways, dude, just wrap up. How can
Yeah,
people
Kevin
find you?
Wee, just search me Kevin Wee on Instagram.
Yep.
You can search me on Google. You'll find a bunch of articles also if you want
Yeah.
to know my story a bit better.
Yep.
My website is kevinwee.org.
Yep.
So if you want to get my services in any way or want to partner with me, collab with me, just reach out to me.
Awesome. Again, kevinwee.org. And again, all his links are down below. Radical Riches, Kindness, Homes. Follow everything, guys. This guy is amazing. Check out his progress. I'm very, very sure he'll soar to much, much greater heights. Till next time, guys. See you. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, I'm so blessed to be able to share these inspiring stories of remarkable people with you. Please support us by liking, commenting, and subscribing to our YouTube channel, right? These likes will help us know what videos you want to watch more of. So again, thank you and see you in another video.